The National Hurricane Center has initiated advisories on a potential tropical system this morning, which is located off the southeast U.S. coast. Rain and wind from this storm will head up the eastern seaboard this weekend. Here's what we can expect. Hi guys, I'm John with New York Metro Weather. Today is Thursday, September 21st. You are looking at potential tropical cyclone 16 as designated by the National Hurricane Center this morning. Monitoring this system, which could potentially develop into a tropical storm by later today. We see some spin here and a lot of thunderstorm activity, convection here with this system. It's very disorganized at the moment, but the model data is suggesting that this storm could get itself organized. And so the NHC says, you know what? The possibility exists for this storm to organize itself, and so we're going to declare it a potential tropical cyclone. They are forecasting it to become a tropical storm over the next 2 days as it makes its way towards the coast of North Carolina and then weaken to a tropical depression as it moves northward and then eventually recurves off the coast of New Jersey later this weekend and Monday. So there's a lot to take in here. All of a sudden we have this potential tropical system. What I'm going to argue is it's not really impactful. We called it a coastal storm a couple days ago. It could develop a warm core and become a tropical system, but that's not going to make a huge difference for a large majority of the East Coast. We're not expecting this to become some sort of major hurricane or anything like that. What's going to become more important and more relevant is that the track of the storm has shifted westward on pretty much all models. So when we last left off in our last video, we talked about the potential for the storm to either slide out to sea and stay south, or for it to come north up the coast and tuck in westward, and we're getting that second option on the latest data. Here's the NAM model, for example. Now, we're going to track this system as it comes in. This is Friday evening at about 11 p.m., and it's making its way towards the coast of North Carolina. Your rain is spreading up into the mid-Atlantic. And then if we fast forward to about 8 o'clock a.m. on Saturday, the actual low-pressure system is inland, but rain extends way north of that low-pressure center, all the way up into the mid-Atlantic Delmarva. And then by Saturday late morning and early afternoon, we have bands of heavy rain extending northward into the mid-Atlantic and then eventually New England. Now, the rain with this system could linger into Sunday and maybe even Monday across parts of the Northeast as that low-pressure system sort of evolves. So it's looking like a very unsettled weekend. Saturday, for a lot of folks, is going to border on a washout with the potential for heavy rain and flooding. And this system coming inland will linger all the way through the weekend. Now, looking at the simulated radar, let's back up here. Here we talked about this storm coming in Friday afternoon and evening. So this is about 10 o'clock on Friday night. So we have rain spreading northward into the mid-Atlantic states, heavy rain along the coast of the Carolinas, and into the mid-Atlantic, including Maryland and Delaware, shifting northward into New Jersey Friday night. And Saturday morning is when it gets really bad. Here's 10 o'clock on Saturday morning along the New Jersey coast, New York, getting very, very heavy rain. And that rain still exists all the way down into the mid-Atlantic. But look how far this rain spreads out. This is going to be an impactful system for a lot of people. And that rain shifts northward and continues. Now, this is 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, affecting a lot of New England, with this next round of the actual system itself not approaching until Saturday night or Sunday morning. So the rainfall totals are going to be significant here, it looks like, on the latest data, and it's going to include the potential for localized flooding with very heavy rain. The core of this is going to be on Saturday, late Friday night into Saturday, and the potential for very heavy rain across a large majority of the East Coast. So we've got the rain dealt with, but let's talk about the wind. And if you remember when we talked a couple days ago, the main point with the wind wasn't even the intensity of the storm itself. And that's why I'm not focused on this becoming a tropical storm. What's causing the wind potential to be significant, and what's causing the concern for coastal flooding, which we'll get into in a second, is the pressure gradient between this high pressure up here, which is in yellow and orange, and the low pressure down here, which is in blue. This is not an overly strong tropical system, but the gradient between this high pressure and this low pressure is just funneling wind in towards the coast. We know that air rotates clockwise around high pressures, so your air is coming this way around the high, and counterclockwise around low pressure, so your air is coming this way around the low. So both are funneling air into the coast to the north of this storm. So when we look at the simulated wind, here's Friday night. You see the wind really picking up along the Carolina coastline, but then watch the northern edge. It makes its way all the way into Maryland, Delaware, New Jersey, getting hammered with easterly flow here, and it's all being exacerbated by the presence of that strong high pressure to the north. It's not necessarily just your little tropical system here. Your winds are extending way north of the storm, and that pressure gradient is pushing all this air and water in towards the coast. So I expect this to be impactful along the shorelines from New England down into the mid-Atlantic states and to the Carolinas, particularly from the Carolinas into parts of Virginia, Maryland, Delaware, and New Jersey, where we will see that easterly flow bringing in the potential for coastal flooding and wind with this system from Friday into Saturday. This is going to be an impactful one along the coast of the Northeast as this system comes in. Looking at rainfall totals, again, the models projecting widespread 2 to 4 inches of rain with this system. The potential for locally higher amounts goes without saying. We've seen these tropical systems so many times. They always produce locally higher amounts. This is the general area to watch. I'm using this as a very, very broad brush overview, but this is the general area to watch. If you're within these yellows and reds, have a plan for localized flooding possibilities, especially if you live in a flood-prone zone. And again, if you live along the coast, anywhere really from the Carolinas and Virginia northward, including Maryland, Delaware, New Jersey, even New York, Connecticut, and parts of New England, but specifically Maryland, Delaware, and New Jersey here, Friday into Saturday, have your coastal flooding plan ready and know that the potential exists for that prolonged onshore flow, coastal flooding through multiple tidal cycles, and the potential for heavy rain. So the weekend currently looking like a washout with this system coming up. We're going to track this storm. We're going to track the models here over the next couple of days and the individual sequences of this system coming through. We'll be here with live updates and videos over the next couple of days. No reason to panic. I want to stress that, but there is a potential here building for an impactful storm in the Northeast. This will likely impact flights and travel, so make sure you check with your carrier. And if you are traveling, do so carefully with very heavy rain and wind and coastal flooding all a possibility through this weekend. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. We'll be back with an update later on tonight, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Talk to you soon.